Hey everyone, Hydrohead here. Today, we're going to talk about some manga. Specifically, Vinland Saga. So, I have the hardbacks for 1 and 2 right now. I plan on buying the entirety of this, which I think right now is about 18 volumes, I believe. I've been reading it digitally. I'm up to volume 12 right now. And my feelings haven't changed on how much I enjoy it at all, which is pretty abnormal, honestly, for most stuff in this medium. Usually everything will be really, really, really good, and then they'll just start, like, I don't know, fan servicing out on their own stuff or something. But this, in my opinion, stays very consistent with the story through the whole thing. There is a lot of character development. There is a whole lot of, I guess you'd say, real world allegories for life in general. This is about the Vikings. It follows accurate timelines, but it talks about things that we have kind of a vague history on, so that he can play a lot with it. Obviously, it's all fiction. It's not actual history, but the timelines are accurate. The weapons are accurate. He does a very good job. He being Makoto Yukimura. I think that's pronounced right. I'm sorry if it's not. Sorry about that. Was just coughing. So let's go ahead and talk about book 1. So it starts off fresh. First of all, I love the art in this, and these hardbacks are very, very, very nice. I'm a big fan of them. Also, one nice thing about the hardbacks is we get these some extra stories from, well, I'll tell you when we get there. This here is Thors. He's a central character that is only going to be in this book. Something happens. So, setting the scene, we're in 11th century AD, Frankish Kingdom territory. And basically what's going on is the Vikings are attacking, the English are fighting the Franks. And they're not having, is it the Franks? No, my bad. The Franks are attacking the English, and they're not having the best of luck about it. So somebody comes up and basically offers them the assistance, that somebody being Askeladd, who is freaking awesome character. So much development goes through him. But basically they're a band of Vikings. They see this battle, they offer up their help, and they essentially say, we'll either help you win, or if you don't hire us, then we're going to go to your guys over there and we're going to help them destroy you. Basically blackmailing for the work. The whole battle is freaking awesome. Basically it's all just a ploy. This is our main character, thor-finn. He is a badass. We're introduced to him in kind of a nice way. Askeladd basically tells him he wants him to do something. thor-finn demands some sort of recompense for it. And Askeladd's like, okay, I'll give you a silver. And he's like, you know what I want, Askeladd? He promises to give him what he wants if he brings him the head of a commander, which he does. It turns out what thor-finn actually wants from Askeladd is a duel. Look at this fucking French commander. And his name's Jobby. Where is it? Emperor Jabba or Juby or something like that. It's very much a play on Jabba the Hutt. It's freaking hilarious. But anyway, what he really wants from Askeladd is a duel. And in this book, we find out why he wants to fight and kill Askeladd so bad, and why everybody in this band essentially treats him like an outsider. We also get this awesome scene where the Vikings essentially ride their ships across the mountains. That little bit alone is honestly worth reading volume 1. If this isn't like most volume 1s where it's a little bit slow or a little bit confusing, like this is really, really, really good introduction to the story, and it basically keeps this pace through the whole thing. Look at this art. This is just fantastic. I love this. And the story is very good. The dialogue is very good. One thing, there's a lot of like background humor, like a lot of sound effects, a lot of words that aren't in the bubbles that kind of break up the violence and seriousness of it. And I'm pretty sure I know the reason why, and it's because of the medium. But it's also nice because it doesn't get. I mean, I like how caught up you get in the violence and the aggressiveness and everything like that. But it pulls you out easily without like jarring you from the story, which is kind of nice. And I realize that's a terrible explanation, but honestly, give this a shot. You're gonna love it. In this, we find out why Thor-finn wants so badly to fight Askeladd, and it has to do with his past, which basically, as they're telling us why, we immediately dive into the actual story of why, and that's where we meet Thor-finn's dad, Thors. Let's go ahead and skip ahead a little bit. Thors is an ex-Viking warrior. They basically live in Iceland. Essentially what happens is while they're in Iceland living their lives being peaceful, the Joms Vikings show up. They demand to see Thors the troll. Turns out Thors was a ex-Joms Viking who was supposedly killed in battle, but he actually just left. So basically the Jarl who runs the Joms Vikings sent his men out to retrieve Thors. And oh yeah, there is some nudity in this. Nothing below the waist. But you do see breasts in later books and some naked people. I'm sorry, but anyway, the Joms Vikings are looking for Thors. They're going to punish him or just make him return to battle because they need him. He is apparently a rather legendary fighter. Essentially, if he doesn't go back, then they're just going to kill everybody at this village. Thors agrees. He convinces them to leave. And says that he will basically follow after him. The reason he does that is because he doesn't want his village going to war. It's a whole bunch of Vikings who've never seen any sort of real battle. They've always just lived in Iceland surviving. And he doesn't want to see them go through the horrors of war. So he sends the Joms away, and he just takes 5 guys with him. With a plan that you'll learn about when you read this yourself. But as the story's going, we find out a lot about Thors. We get to see exactly what a badass Thors is and was. And we get this very important line that's going to carry through the entire series. And I think I actually might have switched to the right page. So in this, we learn about being a warrior. And basically, the Vikings all consider war to be about violence, fighting, killing, and whatnot. But Thors has a different idea on that. And I wish I could find the page. But essentially, he's getting a lecture about being a warrior. Oh, that's right. It's before the duel. He shows up and he tells all these people that he's going to either... that he's going to... just muttering and bumbling along like a freaking moron. Look at that. Isn't that some awesome artwork? Just, ignore me. Ignore me. Well, basically he's standing there at the ready. He's telling all these guys that if they don't leave his people alone, then he's going to take care of them. They make fun of him for not having a weapon. And he says a true warrior does not need a sword. And he eventually has to pull up a sword. And when he does, somebody makes a comment about a true warrior needing a sword. And he says he's not a true warrior, which is why he's using the sword to compensate for his... I can't remember the line. But through the whole series of books, there's this constant question of what makes a true warrior. And what Makoto is really trying to push is that you don't have to be a violent barbarian to be a warrior. There's other ways to show the same type of nobility, dignity, and honor. And honestly, it's not until probably book 10 where Thor-finn really starts to learn these lessons. So if the idea of that type of, I don't know, story, lesson, whatever you want to call it, doesn't really fit you, you're still pretty much good all the way up until like issue 9. That's where things change a little bit. Everybody's still everybody. It's just the scenarios have all changed, and there's a lot of introspection, reflection, but still a lot of fighting. Awesome art. Also, the main thing I want to talk about at the end that I kind of mentioned was that we get this story for Our Farewell is Near, Part 1. It's basically about a retired samurai, as the samurais are no longer needed. It's very, very good. It's never been in print before. It's only in these. Honestly, it's well worth checking out. A lot of times I don't even read the stories at the back, but this is really good. And the art is a little bit more traditional as far as using Asian-inspired designs rather than Northern European. But anyway, that's all I really had to say. I'm not going to go too much into this one, except to say the art stays consistent. The story stays good, and I highly recommend these books. I picked these up for, oh wow, so going rate on these is $20, but if you go onto like eBay or even Amazon, you can get these for anywhere from like 10 or less. So check them out. Well worth it. Hell Hydra, baby.